What's up, guys? This is Holland with the Wolverine.com, and we're back with another Michigan recruiting report. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 key recruits I saw on the road. Before we do that, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel for free, and also take advantage of our special promo code. Use the code UM1. Subscribe today at thewolverine.com. $1 for 2 months. That gets you insider recruiting information, team information, basketball transfer portal, and so much more over at thewolverine.com. All right, guys, today we're going to be talking about 5 key recruits I saw on the road. So I've been in Louisiana, I was in Virginia. So these are 5 recruits that I saw over the last couple of weeks. And we're going to start off on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to be talking about running back Jasper Parker, one of the biggest senior risers in the 2025 recruiting class. Parker is really impressive looking back at 6'1", 200 pounds, really athletic. A guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, 3-down back. He's powerful between the tackles. I think the biggest question mark with Jasper Parker is probably his speed, specifically his long speed. I can't really find any verified times for Parker, but I do think he checks a lot of boxes. He's having a strong senior year in terms of putting up monster numbers. He just set his school rushing record earlier this season. So, I think Jasper is definitely continuing to go up in a lot of people's minds. You've seen On3 give him a nice bump. You've seen Rivals give him a nice bump. He's still a 3-star on 2 services. I think he's kind of, I think he's a 4-star, inside that top 300. So, yeah, I mean, Parker was a really nice land for the staff. Remember, he wasn't ranked high at all early on, and Ron Bellamy and Tony Alford did a fantastic job of making him a priority, and he seems to be fully locked in with Michigan and was back on campus over the weekend. All right, let's talk about Parker's teammate, Jacob Washington. So we're talking about another Michigan commit, on 300 wide receiver Jacob Washington, also out of Archbishop Shaw in New Orleans. Washington is a big-bodied wide receiver at 6'3", 180 pounds. With Washington, he plays in kind of a run-heavy system where they really feed the ball to Jasper Parker, but he has the measurables, and Michigan obviously needs help when it comes to bigger-bodied receivers. They don't have very many on the roster, and even though Washington's rankings are kind of all over the place, he's a guy that could potentially make an early impact. He has a great catch radius. He's really athletic. I believe he ran 4.5 at the Under Armour camp, which is a really good time for a receiver his size. Now, the thing with Jasper Parker is he's still making a visit to Mizzou, and that is coming up this weekend. That's kind of a new development here, as he appeared to be completely solid with Michigan. So we'll see if the Missouri visit creates anything to really worry about on the Michigan side. But as of right now, he's still in the class, and he's a guy that Michigan really values. Let's go ahead and move on to the 2026 recruiting class and talk about Darius Gray along the offensive line. Gray is one of my favorite prospects for next cycle. He's a guy that is a mauling interior offensive lineman, true guard, 6'3", 285 pounds. He really impressed me again. I saw him last year as a sophomore, but seeing him as a junior, he was fantastic. He's really technically sound. He loves to put guys in the dirt. He finishes blocks. He's just the kind of that rare 5-star level interior offensive lineman. Usually that ranking for along the offensive line is reserved for tackles, but I think Darius Gray has an argument as the best guard in the country. It's a really strong year for guards. As you see, there are 4 top 25 guards in the country per On3. Now, South Carolina is considered the heavy favorite early on, but Gray did make a visit to Michigan in the offseason. He's continuing to have really positive dialogue with Grant Newsome and Sharon Moore, and he told me he plans to be back in Ann Arbor for another visit in the spring. All right, let's stick along the offensive line and talk about Thomas Wilder out of Virginia Beach. So Thomas Wilder, man, he is a really impressive looking prospect on the hoof. He has a fantastic frame, a true tackle here at 6'6", 285 pounds. Great length, great feet, great athleticism. He's definitely a bit raw when it comes to technique. But I think Wilder has some of the biggest upside in the class. He's one where the rankings are kind of all over the place. On3 has him as a 3-star, 24/7 and ESPN have him as a top 200 guy, and Rivals has him as a low 4-star. I definitely think he's a top 250 level player. I mean, that ceiling is sky high. Grant Newsome actually came out to Virginia Beach, personally evaluated Thomas Wilder, and put an offer on the table that same day. Now, Wilder hasn't made very many visits. That's why you see Duke at the top of the list, but he told me he's going to start, really getting into recruiting, and Michigan is at, around the top of the list when it comes to places that he wants to get to in the spring. All right, last prospect on the list is On300 defensive back Jazil Hart, who was one of the biggest risers in On3's latest rankings update. Hart is quickly turning into one of my personal favorites for next cycle. He's out of Roanoke, Virginia at the North Cross School, 6 foot, 170 pounds, kind of just that athletic slot type of corner. Great two-way player that also stars at wide receiver. Like I said, one of the biggest rankings risers for On3. He's now a top 300 prospect nationally. He's been to Michigan twice already. He was back on campus last month for a game, and he also visited for the barbecue at the Big House. Virginia Tech, which is, the home area school, is considered the favorite on the RPM, but obviously Michigan is a superior program. I think the Wolverines definitely have his attention early on, and I think he'll be back on campus in the spring. This is a kid that Lamar Morgan, Michigan's secondary coach, evaluated early when he had no stars and made him a top priority. So it wouldn't be surprising to see Hart end up in the class next cycle. So those are 5 key recruits I saw on the road over the last couple of weeks during my time in Louisiana and Virginia. I'm always traveling, seeing Michigan's top recruits. So make sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, get notifications every time we drop new videos. We always have great content and live evaluations off the road. And we will see you next week.